Storm Tracker 6. This is Forecast First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
On our quad cams, you can see varying areas of haziness. Out in Grand Ledge, definitely seeing that haze along the tree lines. Downtown Lansing, not as much, but that's all with temperatures that are in the 70s, low 70s at that. Not going to be the warmest air for these cells that are moving in, so not that big of a lightning threat. Just some showers right now in Hastings, moving over towards Ionia, St. John's. We're going to have maybe a bolt or two there west of Kalamazoo, so I'll keep an eye on it, let you know if that moves in towards our area coming up as 6 News This Morning continues.
WLNS is here for you, celebrating 75 years of bringing you the news with 6 News This Morning.
State lawmakers introduce a new bill that would restore Michigan's right to work. Good morning and happy Wednesday. Today is June 25th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan Vaselli. 6 News is here for you now with this morning's top stories. Several GOP lawmakers brought the legislation to the Senate floor. They say Michigan's unemployment rate is among the worst in the country and we need reforms to boost the state's economy. If passed, this bill would restore Michigan's status as a right-to-work state and repeal the mandated prevailing wage. Right-to-work laws exist in 26 states right now. They allow workers to benefit from union contracts without paying money to the union securing those benefits. Data shows union membership typically falls in states with right-to-work laws. Supporters say these laws boost economic growth by making states more attractive to businesses, but critics claim they drive down wages and weaken worker protections. A leading state senator and head of the Michigan Republican Party now asking Attorney General Dana Nessel to investigate Michigan State Police's second in command. Senator Jim Runstead is requesting criminal charges against Lieutenant Colonel Amy Brimacombe for misuse of a department vehicle. The State Police Professional Standards section conducted an internal investigation after Brimacombe was accused of using a state-owned car for personal reasons and then refusing to return it. 6 News has learned this investigation resulted in Brimacombe losing a week's worth of vacation time. The AG's office says it's reviewing Senator Runstead's request. Stay with 6 News for updates. Meanwhile, AG Nessel now has officially filed a notice to a federal appeals court to overturn a ruling that dismissed the murder case against a former Michigan State Police sergeant. Brian Keeley originally was charged with second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. This after MSP says he hit and killed Samuel Sterling with an unmarked cruiser during a chase last year. However, a federal judge tossed out those charges last month, saying the supremacy clause gave him immunity. Keeley's defense argued he was immune under this clause because at the time of the attempted arrest, he was acting as a federal officer. Therefore, he can't face criminal prosecution under state law. But AG Nessel claims Keeley was working as a state employee, calling the dismissal a, quote, miscarriage of justice. President Donald Trump now in Europe for NATO meetings. The summit started just hours after he announced a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran, which both sides quickly claimed the other violated. Meanwhile, Jared Hill is here for you with new preliminary reports on the U.S. attack on Iranian nuclear sites.
President Donald Trump appearing with NATO leaders in the Netherlands, with Israel and Iran still top of mind. The ceasefire holding after President Trump blasted both sides before leaving the U.S.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Now his frustration has turned to an initial assessment from his own intelligence community. The report says last weekend's strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites may have only set their program back a few months, according to 3 sources familiar with the contents. Officials have cautioned that the early assessment could change with more information. This morning on social media, President Trump declared the sites completely destroyed.
When you can't solve it diplomatically, you use overwhelming military power to solve it, and then you get the hell out of there before it ever becomes a protracted conflict.
A CBS News poll shows that a majority of Americans disapprove of the strikes against Iran, though there's a huge partisan divide. As tensions appear to be calming in the Middle East, they're growing on Capitol Hill.
The American people deserve to know the facts.
Democrats and some Republicans are demanding answers on President Trump's decision to launch strikes without consulting Congress. Classified briefings are now pushed to Thursday. Jared Hill, CBS News.
From Storm Tracker 6, this is Weather on the Sixes, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
Taking a look outside the Capitol camera, there's clouds and then there's some rain along with them. We've already seen a few sprinkles move through areas in mid-Michigan, and we're going to continue to have more. There's some that's moving in off of the lake, and it's just kind of training towards us. With as much moisture as we have in the air, it's no wonder that we're going to see them still stick around by the time they make it to mid-Michigan. But for now, the lightning threat is staying away. Just 2 bolts there right along I-94 west of Kalamazoo. Not going to be in our area, it looks like, just not quite the right temperature profile for it. We will have a better chance for storms later today, though, and that's as we try to warm things up. For our temperatures this morning, we're in the mid to low 70s, a nice improvement from yesterday when it was already in the 80s. This is still not as good as it could get, though. That front is just kind of stalled to our north, and that's keeping the 50s well up towards the tip of the mitten in the UP. We'll have temperatures staying in the 70s here for the first few hours, then it looks like many will get to the 80s and possibly even mid-80s later on this afternoon, especially near Indiana and Ohio. Hopefully Diesel's a little bit farther north can take advantage of that stalled front. It really is just dependent on which side of the line you're on if you'll be low 80s or mid 80s today.
Yeah, I mean, 80s all around. We'll take it.
It's not what it was this weekend, and that's all I need.
Just human.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, the hair,
Forget it.
nah.
All right, Katie, thanks. Coming up in our